Wednesday, March 25th, 9:52 a.m. What's up, everybody? Checking back in for a trading vlog. Little updates on the trading. Did some nibbling, some buying yesterday. There's not blood in the streets, but there's a little nosebleed going on. Somebody got jabbed. But we are currently on SanDisk. Again, our main focus now that we've closed out of American Eagle is checking up on the different stocks we've been talking about. And so we had appreciation here. Like I said, I showed you my ad right around $719. Well, exactly at $719. I did put a tight stop loss just on that new ad of the share. Went up about $20 on it and just trading around again, trying to catch this. Well, again, not assuming, but our prospectus is this is going to have a big depreciation at some point. And so we're in a small position to try to capture that big depreciation without overextending our position where we would have to put a hedge on or be worried in any capacity about this going up, being a highly momentum, high, big name, right in your face type of stock. And so got, again, stopped out of it in the profit of about $20. So I had 3 shares yesterday at an average about $6.40. Stopped that out around 7. I put a pretty tight stop, like $7.06, so maybe like $13, but just immediately into profit. Almost $20 is almost $20, and as we all know, we know what $20 can get you. And so, but just trying to trade around my base position, and it felt like, again, one of these momentum shift positions that you do instinctually. I do it, and we break to the downside, and then you're like, I feel like a great trader. But again, just acknowledge the sentiment, and you just kind of move along. Because regardless, we are not taking a position where it's going to affect our lifestyle to make money, and we're trying just not to lose any money, but we are trying to capture the big overall trends. And so we are now into the profit again of this chunk. But we're probably still down $100. Yeah, 123. And so, if we would have had that other share, it would have been still down about $30 overall of all things SanDisk that we've done here in this trading vlog. And so again, just trying to capture the big movements overall. Again, technicals don't matter to me at all, pretty much ever, but it's everything people talk about. It's the charts you're looking at. Certainly a big break of the adaptive moving average, but with this type of momentum and setup, again, with the overall time frame being, for me, when is the memory news cycle going to shift from super definitely blowout numbers, big growth to which again I think experienced traders would agree, it's that shift of sentiment that matters, not necessarily the actual numbers. And so whenever that sentiment shifts, I expect that's another point where I could just be wrong. I expect the sentiment to shift to lead the price action to shift. And the time frame on that, again, we're still getting strong news numbers cycle things into. Some people say 2030, some people say 2028. We're about quarter of the way through 2026. And so anytime you're in a speculative market, everyone to me is always going to be overshooting the upside. And so to me, I'm thinking frankly right around here. That's why we're open. We've had the position. But addition within the next 3 months, like the news cycling around the memory stuff kind of changing. And again, that's a weak conviction, enough for me to have 2 shares. On terms of the news cycle, again, this thing to me will overall go down. Again, if it's not in the next 3 months, if it takes 6 months or 9 months, again, it's something to talk about, keeps me engaged in the markets, a position that I want to hold. And so that's what we're doing over here on SanDisk. Again, we left some money on American Eagle, got no sort of appreciation. With the backdrop of the war, we've commented on that in the language litigation integration series. If you want to see more on that, you can go watch that series. But for the finances, again, this is not high enough conviction in these levels whatsoever. But again, expected more of a bounce to me is an immediate reversal of momentum. And this was, I wouldn't call this a bounce, but this was the closest thing we got to appreciation after the depreciation from the breaking of the earnings news. And so no real conviction over here. Frankly, if I had to play this, I would almost want to say I would go long into the dividend. But again, it's not like I have any particular reason to trade American Eagle. just because you make some money on a stock or whatever. This is not extended in any way. It's slightly extended to the oversold, or maybe if you're looking at RSIs, I don't even have that up here. Maybe more oversold, but again, no conviction, no position. And so, excuse me. Other stuff I nibbled on. Obviously, ladies, again, private helicopter rides are back on the menu. We have Joby at 923. And so, just again, another stock we've been following. It's in this 9 level, really bouncing around between this lower level 9 and 10. And so if it breaks, which I do kind of expect because this overall prospectus on the war now, again, it just seems to be, the market reaction is basically whatever Trump decides to tweet that day. Again, I've covered a lot of the political stuff because I think, again, the sentiment is always overblown from both sides pretty much on everything. Meaning I don't think it's like, well, so we had this oil trade, right? We have 500 and some odd dollars of futures oils trading. A lot of talking points today. And so trying to stay on topic. But point being is I think Trump is a horrible administrator, an absolute joke of a commander-in-chief, and then you get overblown sentiment of, well, he's doing super nefariously bad directly, when it's like more of this general reaction to what the most general, ambiguous, non-existent Republican person would want. And so I think the criticism is overblown to the negative consequences, which are real and terrible and bad, but it undercuts the behavioral development of what's actually occurring. And again, you just see that from his behavior again, sacrificing American lives to refuel a tanker for starting a war that's going to accomplish nothing, and then literally after that going on to Jake Paul's interview and being like, yeah, man, it feels like a great career progression. And it's like you have Hegseth in Columbus, Ohio, like, hey, Hegseth, did you tell the Simmons family about the Dow hitting 50,000? It's a pretty big number. Holy shit, Pam Bondi was excited. And so it's just this overall, just not knowing how to behave is not always nefarious and directly evil and bad and negative. The consequences are terrible, 100 million %. I mean, I've criticized him, again, the administration, but this overall behavior of, I don't know what to do. I'm going to react to the sentiment of my people, while at the same time being so privileged, I face no consequences of those actions. Meaning I'm a commander-in-chief and don't have to consider my own family going to die. Where it's like, why does your family matter more than your soldier's family, or your brother's family, or whoever's family? And the answer is they don't. And so it makes it a much more serious consideration. And of course, we don't even see that type of behavior present in the capacity of their maturity level. And so, but that being said, like I said, the nefariousness of Trump super bad is also overblown. And so regardless, we have an extremely incompetent administration and extremely immature people commenting from both sides, from every side, up, down, left, right, squared, backward, and even some people in a black hole. But regardless, we have this oil trade. And so I actually kind of have a semi-hot take on this, because the overall, again, the behavior is just, you see this trade being executed. The timing of it is undeniably like, okay. But then my question is, or the unknowable to me is, do I think, again, Trump is in a position to need or want to personally benefit from trading insider information? No. That's, again, what I'm leading into with this nefarious behavior is, to me, this is information, right? You can't sequester information, not if you're a super secret science team in a bunker, in a hill, in a skiff somewhere, or if you're a person thinking in your head sometimes. And so you're not going to be able to sequester information 100%. That is demonstrably physically impossible. More on that in another episode. But the point being is, do I think Trump is like, hey man, go insider trade, make me money? I personally, my intuition is absolutely not. And again, I'm not an American citizen. I don't have constitutional rights. I'm just calling what I see from a behavioral scientist perspective, also commander-in-chief perspective, also attorney general perspective, all of the things that I have demonstrated expertise and competency in, which is everything, because I derived everything, actually. But not practically, like engineering, application of science, stuff like that. But point being is, this oil trade gets executed, the timing's undeniable, you can't reasonably sequester information holistically at all. All insider trading is directly illegal. to me, it's just like, okay, if this, again, I don't know who's in who's meeting, who would have access to this information, but if it's 25 people, and then they go out there and they tweet their oil buddies or whoever, some executive, and all of these people are bumping shoulders with the same types of people. You're right. As an attorney general, who is the victim of this crime, or is it a crime? Right? Is it directly illegal to some sort of statute? Again, obviously, there's almost certainly. First of all, we don't even really know what happens, and then two, is it something going to be a priority? Frankly, I don't see it as a priority at all. But again, the direct insider trading is illegal immediately all of the time. I see zero motivation for any person to begin Trump or even Hegseth or somebody even with direct access in this strategy room saying, hey man, go do this. But then you can't contain information holistically at all. So is it, who's on the periphery? Again, like that is the unknown. Who's done what? I don't think it's a crime. Where's the victim? Right? If you have an appreciation again on an international market, which frankly, again, this game of nation states, which is clearly not going to go anywhere, causes like the biggest economic development consideration, again, of this inflation currency representation from one country where the goods are the same everywhere. And so the point being, as an attorney general, it's like, okay, where's the crime? Well, again, crime meaning we wrote this thing down as human beings saying you can't do this. I don't even think it violates anything that is present. You can't sequester information. That's just not realistic. And so if it's, to me, again, what I'm pursuing or assuming is that it's just one of these periphery type of things. And then, who's missing out? Are you taking $500 million? Okay, they make $1 billion, right? $500 million in futures contracts on the oil markets, and then it's like $1.5 billion on some sort of appreciation financial instrument on the S&P 500. And so are you taking money from somebody in there? Again, we live in a world where it's so sufficiently liquid where there's no victim to that. And then on top of that, and I'm not supporting the behavior. I mean, overall, the behavior as an entrepreneur, if you were like, hey, man, I made $500 million, a lot of people would just see the overall dollar figure and be like, ooh, ah. But then it's just like, you didn't create value. You didn't do anything into the environment. You didn't create value for your community. People didn't take from anybody. And so then we just have this situation of, it's like, information exists, and it's like if you I'm trying to think of a good analog, but like if you're walking down the street and maybe you shouldn't be on the street, but you have to go there, or you're privileged, like you get to go on that street and other people don't get to go on the street, but it's not meaning, I don't know, there's a construction project, I can't think of an analogy right off the top of my head, but you brush by this information, nobody's telling you to go trade it, there's no way to really like remove you from having this. To me, it's just not really a crime. Is it like low-level shitty behavior as an entrepreneur? If I was at like the bar and they were like, yeah, man, I made $1 billion. What'd you do, bro? Oh, yeah, man, I heard some information and texted some oil guy and he bought some futures and then I got a kickback. It's like you'd get laughed out of the bar in terms of like creating value or being an entrepreneur. But is there a victim to a crime as an attorney general to prosecute something? To me, just no. Like, and to me, it's like just like low-level, unfortunate. I don't even say unfortunate. It's just shit happens. Like, life is, people are born into families with a lot of money, other people aren't. Some people have access to information. Is it direct insider trading? Well, then throw everybody in jail. I see absolutely zero motivation for people that are worth billions of dollars, have access to these networks to try to do super dumb shit. To me, it's some sort of person gets periphery information directly involved in the situation room. But again, when a tweet's going out, again, you can spread the, to me, it's just, you see it happen and it's just like, what do you do? And so that's my thoughts on that there. We have the Trump accounts that launched today, which again, to me, is overall good. And because it raises the bigger question, again, these huge appreciations and depreciations of financial instruments that isn't realized sum, right? There's no victim. You're just like, it's like like I said, you're going from inefficiency of like 90% to 85% if people realize that capital appreciation. And so to me, it's just like pissing away money not to capitalize on those things. Hot take, I'm sure, but, and that says an attorney general. It's like, where is the victim of that crime? There isn't one. Who's getting even like taking money from anything? It's just like not. But then again, it's a bunch of poor people, and again, people outside. Again, it's just one of those situations where you can definitely look at a rich kid and be like, he has things I don't, and it is what it is. Trump accounts, overall good thing. You could call them the Jeffrey Epstein inspiration accounts. investing money for kids' futures, obvious good thing, immediate practical consideration, early withdrawals. Okay, you get $250. Can I go get a Nintendo Switch now? Can I go buy an Xbox? So I would want them to be like somehow managed where, again, they can actually grow. And that's not even to say, all those poor kids, they can't have a Nintendo Switch. It's just, to me, there was so much capital appreciation wasted. In the appreciation of the financial markets, there was so much malaise in just, again, on a personal level, I have a job, I want my total compensation to go up, and then I'm just going to bounce around companies without value creation. I mean, it's such a lazy mindset from everyone. You could be a C-suite executive and be a lazy sack of shit to me, and objectively. But point being is wanting there's enough money. Money is such a solvable problem where, again, investing into everybody, you're going to, again, good thing. Overall good thing. Certainly would have some practical considerations to not have early withdrawals, and not even to say like, oh, that's a bad thing if you just get the practical consideration. A family needs $1,000, right? And you can buy a ton of shit, food for 2 months. I mean, like real things you would need to buy. So how do you have that money sequestered, or even like a collective fund where people don't even have access to the money, but they 100% have rights to access it when they're 18 or 21 or whenever. More so to, again, not to restrict them from even buying things that other people would call frivolous, toys, expenditures, cosmetics, again, just things that other people would be like, oh, poor people shouldn't buy that. But more so just so the money can grow. Because, again, it's the biggest thing. Again, sitting here, most people, even, again, if you have a good job, high-paying career, with the economic development, you just need money to sit in a single place for like 10 plus years, 20 plus years. And so it's like, then practically if you need to have early withdrawals, you piss away that principle. And the accumulation of interest is so slow at the beginning, right? You see an interest account on $250, you're like, okay, you might as well have a 0% interest rate. And so some practical consideration for how to manage that money in a way where it can grow is certainly relevant, but overall net very good thing. And so I heard the R word yesterday on CNBC. Somebody went hard R. They went recession. Again, the overall technical levels of the S&P or an index retracing, depreciating, whatever the right word is, 20+%. Again, in an environment where everything is extremely speculative, forward-looking, I just kind of shrug and go, maybe. I don't know. But from a sentiment consideration, using the hard R is clearly a big step. We had the DHS confirmation of Mark Wayne Mullen. He's replacing Kristi Noem's position. But that's what I was saying in the language litigation. I just don't know like the functional hierarchy of the Department of Homeland Security versus the Department of Justice. As somebody who's educated, involved in these types of conversations, Homeland Security versus Justice, right? Okay, Homeland Security sounds more like that brown guy over there could come over the wall. Let's build the wall up more. Homeland, right? So what is your relationship from the Homeland Security to the CIA? What's that? Just like the functional operation. You just, on the news, you always see this person's a secretary of this department, and you're like, what's the, who's the top dog? Who's the middle dog? What's the chain of command? It's just not... We have a lot of ministry offices, just like 1984 predicted. But the proliferation of governmental institutions, well criticized throughout history, and still correct. And so that's what we have going on there. Anything else financially? The talking points? I think that was it for that. Again, conversation today is still this Iran war. The overall market condition just seems to be herky-jerky to whatever those tweets are. And so way back when, or again, throughout these series I've referenced, again, the tightening up of this overshooting and undershooting, meaning it's very clear to me if you're actively trading stocks, the sentiment of the day dominates the entire market. Every nook and cranny, you might have one or two standouts, but that is what I'm saying is you'll have more distinct differentiation where things will respond stock-specific, sector-specific, more so than this overall, we're all going up, we're all going down, we're all going up. And then, again, by no fault of CNBC, just it is what it is. Again, you have a broadcast where you're talking about the futures, and then you go on commercial break for 3 minutes. And as anyone who's watched the financial markets, that's like 3 years. And so by the time you're coming back on and even talking about your talking points, and this is a dynamic newsroom, clearly, it's just like there's so much latency between like the conversations, people sitting on CNBC, the lunch hour, Kelly Evans, and then an hour goes by, or like by the time you like queue up your talking points to like discussing them, right, you have to audible all of the time, like, oh well, now we're checked back in and it's moved 1%. And so the overall latency is just, again, that will tighten up so much more, because again, how many people are sitting here executing trades where they're truly just sitting at their terminal, they don't have an actual like job obligation, family obligation, like people are living lives. And so the market is irrational, way, completely true. XYZ is already baked in, completely not true. It's just you're seeing this herd mentality of sentiment. Everyone's chasing the ball, and nobody even knows how to like go the other way. And so you'll see differentiation, which will result in less extreme ups and downs and more predictable movements, with still an extreme amount of irrationality in the market, meaning stuff is not priced in. Right? If news breaks at 3 p.m. and Johnny, who trades stocks all day, he's a financial manager, he's on a plane, well, he probably has Wi-Fi, but there's periods of time where a huge change in the market will happen within minutes, certainly within an hour. But then how many people are just like not functionally able to execute trades within that hour? Meaning there's always going to be this latency where you're going to have extreme disparity, the market's not going to be rational, and you're going to have the potential to make money. And so that's another thought that has definitely been present with the overall conversations. Again, anything left on my trading, like I said, I nibbled on a good amount of stuff. I realized when I pull up my monitor tab, you can see my account number. Not that I think it really matters, but just not trying to overdo that, I guess. But added a little bit into the index funds. I have 200 shares of SPYI and QQI. Again, the overall capital appreciation, the funds are rather new. The construction seems robust. And so I don't see any capital appreciation within these. Seems, I'm not really worried about that. Could be wrong, but it's just worth these, where you're going to the utility funds, the ULTY and the WPay, the roundhouse ones. These weekly payouts, it just seems to be the NAV, the net asset value erosion, NAV erosion. We needed a new buzzword, but it just seems so tremendous. Again, we were back in the 50s, and it's just been, overall down. Or it's one of these things where it's like I don't see, I haven't looked into the strategies all that much, but like again, writing calls and puts yourself, and just executing spreads. I mean, it's all these funds do. And again, I sit here all day, but I'm just not, like I said, I'm not trading. I'm here to comment on the economics, trade a little bit, but I don't have cash flow and I don't have constitutional rights, so I can't trade meaningfully. If I had constitutional rights, I still wouldn't be able to trade meaningfully. I would have to either have a restricted account or not be able to, again, make videos and actively trade, because it would be kind of front and center. So meaning I won't ever really actually be able to trade meaningfully, because I've already created more value than than money. And if I was, and if I'm not, but if I'm public, I won't be able to. And then if I'm not public, I can't. And so it's fun stuff. But regardless, these weekly pays, to me, the overall construction, I would like, the dream scenario is that you have a high weekly payer with undervalue, or the underlying, the actual security, WPay appreciating. I didn't even see that as likely, but if they could just like be flat and pay out a decent return, that is like kind of like the realistic ideal I wanted. But way too much capital depreciation, so we've been out of here for a while, with no interest in returning. Anything else? Netflix, I did get stopped out of here pretty quick, but this would, again, just reacting to the sentiment, that would have been a good little bounce on here. Again, not bounce, and I take immediately bad Brad. But again, this a short-term reversal. Reversal kind of being the overall inverse, reverse. See, nice. But like the most general term for just thing going one way, up, now it's going the other way, it reversed. The velocity of that reversal may be a bounce. This is not one of them. This is just a little appreciation. And so, but we were in there like just right around 91. Got stopped out at like super trivial profit, like 30 cents or something, maybe a buck. I guess I could just check, but it's on my monitor tab. Not that I think it matters. But regardless, we did get stopped out again, trying to trade something to the long side. I just see this break of 90 into the 85. I will certainly take a position. Again, something small to, again, it'll be a something if it's a good trade, $100 maybe, I don't know. But something just to follow on the long prospectus. Again, overall in the market with this war, just, herky-jerky roller coaster, whatever Trump decides to tweet, you get mixed messages, the diametrically opposed meanings. Iran says, we're not going to stop for anything. There's mines everywhere. And then Trump's like, oh, yeah, no, definitely a stop. We got Kharkiv Island or whatever. And yeah, it's all great. It's just like, and then again, you go study the history of wars and that's like everyone's saying their side's doing great all of the time, every time. It's just like, this world's such a carnival shithole. But anyway, over here to Netflix. Again, 85 to 90 is certainly a long, would re-enter. And we'll check back in here. This DFTX, again, added a little here. These ones, again, I don't really plan on selling. I don't want to say ever, but like, if with a serious, again, these were the ones, again, I just trimmed up into here because we've been sitting from 4 for a while. We double, still down, $4,000 or $5,000. Close a good amount of that loss into here just to avoid, depreciating more again. And then we've just kind of floated up since with clear like levels. So I added right around the base of 17 into this day. Turned out to be pretty good. Again, added another 35 shares. To the management of this trade, to me, this is one that I'm going to add with an indefinite hold. So anything that's like, again, in this channel, right? As long as it doesn't break this channel, I'm going to be adding small. Down in here to the low 17s, certainly into the 16s. It breaks the channel. Well, then I'm going to hopefully let it settle again. And then add, into this 10 to 12 region. But this is the sector, right? This alternative pharmaceutical disruptor that I'm going to be long indefinite. Because that's, as we've covered, that's just the science is there. The policy just needs to not be profoundly disjointed from not even what people want, but what is scientifically proven. But is science real? No. Is the Constitution real? No. Let's focus on the law. That still doesn't even ring a bell for anybody. And so we added here, that's how we're going to manage this. Same with this ATAI. Is just anything that's an overall down sentiment day or sector down is a potential add. Joby, like I said, ladies, we're going to have those private helicopter rides. Liz Young, like I said, Liz Taylor. That's a queen-size mattress on not even a box spring. You know what we could do there. But that is what I got going. Again, the S&P, again, the 663 or 667. It's just, again, like I said, a moment of, it was like everyone, we have 3+ years of appreciation. Well, now we do. At the time, it was like just around 3 years. And everyone's just like, it feels like the sentiment's exhausted. It was before this war. And so it's just like, what's the new stimulus? Because once the war ends, we go right back to, NVIDIA. It's like, what's NVIDIA up to? How's Jensen's cat doing? Hope he's doing good. I don't know if he has a cat. But, excuse me. Yeah, that's it. Don't have anything else to say. And so, covered what we wanted, and we will check in later. Wednesday, March 25th, 3:33 p.m. What's up, everybody? Checking back in on the trading vlog. If the audio is a little funky, again, if it looks like I'm holding this microphone a little weird, sometimes I talk into up here, and it doesn't seem to record it as good. And other times I talk into the side, it seems to get more of the resonance. So the first clip, if you're watching this one, is some parts coming to fade in and out. It's all recorded on this microphone. Not really sure what's going on, but if you're watching these things, again, you're gonna be listening more so than just clickbaity type stuff anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Regardless, pretty dull day on the markets. I went to the zoo. Columbus Zoo has a new giraffe. It's not out and about yet, but checked up on the elephants. And so check out Brad's Briefs, my outdoors animal channel. But regardless, pretty sideways. Not much going on today. Like I said, we checked in on all of the trades. I don't think we referenced Jemmy again.
This one turned out to be, again, nice little. It was in the mid fives. We picked up 40, like 40 shares, sold them off at about 60% gain, then back down. And so overall, the market seems to be, again, I'm hearing the hard R quite a bit. Recession. And the intuition that comes to mind again is the number being 20% off of off of highs for how long of a time, just to depreciate to that level for some amount of time. Point being is that what I see is just normal cycling. Does not even the financial instruments reflect the cycling of human behavior. What serious human behavior cycles within 1 year to me is nothing. Point being is, I just see anything that would be called a recession, any depreciation off of a high when you're already in a highly speculative environment, is just kind of a whatever. And I've said that a bunch, but people are talking about recession. And so I'm pretty, again, good with my position sizing on different things, small amount of high conviction things, the alternative pharmaceuticals. But again, those positions are always small until something starts moving. And all of the stuff we're trading has already started moving. Whatever stimulated that movement, we're just managing once the volatility has arrived. And so, point being is we'll add small to Gemmy a little bit. Again, just trying to recuperate. Again, like I said, still down probably about 350 over here, just on a sloppily managed trade. Making a trading vlog, trying to recuperate. And that's another section of sentiment. Again, whatever dollar figure you put into a given security, it's going to form, again, this bias of, like, again, $300 is $300. Whether you go make it over here or go lose it over there, it's the same $300. But you're going to have bias of, hey, I've traded this stock. I made some sort of decision, right? That's why it's on my screen. That's why it's in my portfolio. And so you're going to have some sort of bias towards it. Frankly, on a genuine assessment on a personal level, I really don't have much bias at all. I'm literally making a trading vlog. Because, like, when I'm at this, like, I don't even think about this stuff whatsoever. Because, again, if I get published in my lifetime, which I truly have no expectation to, because my rights are violated, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution, like I said, I won't be able to trade meaningfully anyway. And so, both from a maturity standpoint, I just don't overtrade has never been in my behavioral patterns. But I also don't need anything, I guess, besides constitutional rights. I'm still sitting over here with gains, and it's like I can't pay taxes because I can't live, and I just don't know how to fucking function in a society without constitutional rights. So as always, that's the predominant thing. My life is ruined. My health is ruined. Everything is ruined, and no one gives a fuck. This world is just full of privileged, entitled fucking losers, man. But back to trading again, trying to recuperate any money on a given ticker just because, and it's a different style of trade, right? It's something we bought, didn't manage it properly, get down, but now it's just one of these, okay, it's a trade to manage where it's just, an IPO that just goes straight down. All of the exciting stuff. But again, there's just not much to say. You just buy to lower your price average, however much money you're willing to put into it. And then again, because people will say, oh, I've been in here for 6 months, 8 months, and it went down, and now like I'm tired of this stock or something. I just have never personally experienced that really. And again, because when I sat down to start trying to execute trades, it was, I'm going to sit here and watch this stuff and just find the trades that are reasonable. And the sentiment that is always overdone is, I'm going to invest in a company, it's going to grow in 3 to 5 years, and I'm a part of the American dream. It's just like, that's not how shit works. And so nothing really new on the trading front. Joby did drop below 9, so we might have to, oh, look at me. We're big balling out here. We're going to scoop up 5 shares. How much are we going to pay? Yeah, $50. We're in Joby. Look at that. Oh, we're in. So now we're up to 50 shares on Joby. $9.20. But overall, not really, probably no big positions whatsoever. Again, treasury bonds is pretty much all I'm doing because I don't have constitutional rights. Small ads for the stuff that we've been talking about. 1 or 2 trades. Again, the one we're focusing on is on SanDisk. That one, again, the timing is kind of where we're just kind of waiting, but it's the highest conviction of when something or what is going to move. We're just kind of managing the when. And so, not much to comment on here. Again, a pop above the 710 or whatever I had last time, again, to bring my price average up a little more, make the $20, add in 1 more share, going for a share size of about 5. trying to capitalize 5 shares on the overall movement to the downside. That is our prospectus, our thesis. And so just managing it in a way where we don't, if I don't want to take 5 shares right now, we go up to $1,200 and it's like, you just lost another $2,000 of depreciation, which I wouldn't close, but having the ability then to average up, to bring my price average up for a short position. And so that's what's going on over there for our talking points. One thing I wanted to continue on with the discussion from this morning was just, again, in relation to this oil trade around the Trump administration. But I just have in quotations, just because you had privilege and made wealth, I hate you, you evil bastard, is like the sentiment I get from other people. Because, again, trying to continue on like the analogy or whatever I was saying earlier, was that it's like, again, if somebody can go down a privileged street and other people genuinely can't go down that street, and there's $1 million sitting on the ground, or $10 million, or $1 billion, and if that privileged person walks past that $1 billion and there's 10 million people around him saying, "Oh, you lucky privileged son of a bitch, you dirty evil bastard," and then he walks past that $1 billion, that $1 billion is still wasted. And so that's my kind of thing where it's like, again, just the overall commentary of who is the victim. And I just see, again, I'm always very adverse, and I really don't like this he has something I don't, wah sentiment, which is what I get out of here. Because this is not something that it's like super fun to see, but it's just like, again, as somebody over here without constitutional rights, where somebody I've been literally very legitimately begging for $40,000 a year to work, which is like a shitty PhD stipend for like a grad student who's like kind of attempting to try to think at a school that is definitely stealing from me everywhere, all of them. And so even on a personal level like that, it's just like, you're not taking money from anybody. And then again, if you're capitalizing, again, this stock market appreciates 1% and you appreciate $300 billion and then it depreciates 0.5% the next day. Where did that $150 billion go? All right. And so it's just like, it's one of those things where it's still wasted money or still wasted opportunity. The opportunity is, almost illegal. But then what's the net outcome, right? You have a bunch of pissy people saying, "Oh, well, look at that privileged person." If you want to get butthurt about other people's privileges in life, you can do that all day, every day. Just go look at Instagram or something. But I'm over here like, okay, so if this isn't like, again, I've already commented what I could on this situation. But if it's just one person that gets this periphery information and then they make a lot of money, it could be a super minute net positive, right? There's one less person out there trying to like gather up acorns for the winter, like winter time, or like a squirrel. But if it's just, rich person giving another rich person, somebody's worth $100 million, giving another person making another $100 million, that's not going to change anyone's quality of life. But I don't know, maybe some Joe out there made some money, maybe not, maybe it's illegal, maybe it's not. I can't comment on anything else. I just, on a personal level, seriously have adversity and an extreme reaction to, or not an extreme reaction, but it just like my eyes get all wide and I'm just like, fuck this shit. When I hear people like this whiny, bitchy, complaining, that guy has something I don't have, me. I mean, you very literally watch me wake up every single day and I do not have constitutional rights. Like, I literally am living the absolute 100% mentality of a fucking slave. I work all day. There is no expectation for me to ever make property or make money for my property, for my work. Other people just directly steal it. I get degraded, denigrated, suffer grave bodily harm, all of the denigration that you can possibly imagine, destroy my health, destroy my family. And I'm just still over here like the days are passing, man. I'm trying to do the best I can, get shit out there, live my life the best I can. I was born into a fucking cult. And so when I see other people just bitching and complaining about nothing, if you literally differentiate your skills, meaning you go work at something on your personal life, your personal skill sets, for like 18 months to 3 years, you will 100% jump up in your labor value where you can go and get a job. I can't get employed. I can't capitalize my property. I can say, here's the Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution. Here's the 5th Amendment of the Constitution. Hey, Governor DeWine, what's up? Hey, Andrew Ginther, what's up? Hey, Jim Jordan, what's up? And the answer is just like, oh, dude, you see we own the libs. Got the libs, Dow's at 50,000. Oh, is it still at 50,000, Pam Bondi? Or Caroline Levitt? I'm still waiting to see your economics discussions. Oh, what do you know? Oh, we hit 50,000. Where'd it go, guys? It's almost like we hit these arbitrary numbers and then retrace because we're in an extremely speculative environment, and that means nothing. Woohoo! I mean, obviously, again, it's just the overall illiteracy and degeneracy and whiny, bitchy incompetence from everybody. Everybody. And you might be saying, Brad, that's you too. Nope, I put science. All of science is on the internet. I'm the one that put it up there. You guys are dum-dums. Dumb, stupid pants. And so I always push back on that sentiment of just when I ever hear someone bitching or whining, it's just like, shut the fuck up. And then the objective, again, whoever made money on that trade, if it's not just, someone going from $100 million to $200 million, if it's someone going like, I'm genuinely trying to save like $50K for my kids' college, which that's stupid because academia is completely fraudulent. But if it's a lifestyle change, it's a super, super, super minute benefit. Because if you capitalize appreciation that just goes up and down and nobody realizes the money, that happens all day, every day, and it's just like nobody bitches about that. It's just like when somebody's like, that guy has something I don't have. Wah! Go fuck yourself. And then the other talking point was Meta loses the trial. So this is another thing I have big pushback against legally, where it's just like, the sentiment to me here is, I have a kid, they have, they're genuinely naive, that's what childhood is, growing up learning. I don't want my kid to be perverted by the internet or predators on Roblox or bad things, and that's good sentiment. It's kind of, that's good. It's like, but then it progresses to, okay, well, my kid, he's addicted to his phone, or, the dopamine, he's addicted. Like, any conversation where it's tech giant Mark Zuckerberg, again, go buy Jemmy, go steal from the Winklevosses. But is it possible scientifically to have a user interface that, like, makes you addicted to something? All of that conversation is scientifically illiterate, wrong. Nope. Wrong cause and effect. And so, the whole conversation, trying to keep my microphone right. But any sort of conversation where it's like, this technology causes you to be an immature person, it's like, no, that is the growing up part. Where you have the attention span of 5 seconds, you just scroll on your phone all day. As a grown-ass man, I still scroll on my phone quite a bit. But the point being is, as a parent blaming a company, it's almost just like, again, this, when we talk about Lucas Perez over here at Ohio State, and the victim getting battered on camera, and then he's like, oh, I am so injured. Again, as a way to, like, reassert that he can go to court and be like, yeah, man, you committed battery on camera. Right? There's nothing else you need to say. That's done deal, done. And so it's almost like that perversion of like, hey, man, I can get one over on somebody. I'm a parent. The sentiment of I want to raise and protect my kid, legitimate, real, 100%. And now, oh, my kid's spending too much time on his iPad. I don't like that. Oh, and it's just like this cumulative effect of, again, not taking responsibility for your actions, one, as a parent, and then two, just, again, kids growing up, man, like, saying I'm addicted to my phone or all the world's out to get me. It's just like, I'm not a fan of that in general. And then to the actual legal of saying, I'm going to go sue Meta, and they're going to have to pay because Meta got my kid addicted. To me, that conversation is just no. There's some legitimacy, again, to not putting... Kids are vulnerable in their learning process. But do you the demand, again, Facebook is not manipulating kids to addict them to their apps. That's no. That's scientifically no. And then the motivation for people to sue them, it's just like this, we're doing the right thing to protect the kids, but now we can get something from Mark Zuckerberg. He has a lot of money. You see that guy over there made that money, that he got one up on us. He did the oil trade. Now it's our time to get him back. We can sue him. Ha 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 ha. I mean, that's what I feel from this interaction. Scientifically, nobody gets your kid addicted to shit. Again, addiction isn't even well defined at all. But we continue just to cycle and spew out narrative and bullshit and stereotypes, and to say, oh, it's easy and convenient enough. We're going to disrespect the law to the point where, well, we don't care if science is completely invalidated. And that's another thing for science. Like, you are at the point where the entirety of analysis is sitting on the internet, proven publicly, and it has been for 10 years. And so if you come out in a position of science, you're a doctor, you're a So you're a correspondent at one of these talk shows. The entire scientific community should not be able to articulate anything without consensus. Meaning, when I get online one day and I say CBD is harmful and then CBD is beneficial, and I know for a definitive fact CBD is beneficial, it's just that's just an example. But we're at a point in time is where if the scientific community can't come out and say this is what we think collectively, you shouldn't be able to publish anything. Because it's this, you're back into this academia. We're going to pump out paper mills, and we're going to have all of these papers that nobody fucking reads. Because now we're playing the game of academia, when in reality we're people playing the game of career, and the career thing we're talking about just happens to be science. And that is what the fuck you are watching. And it's atrocious, it's disgusting. Not legalizing and prescribing cannabis oil causes more death and destruction than any single action that could be taken immediately right now today. And cannabis isn't going to fix or solve genetic disorders, but in terms of the overall stasis, the overall state of your body, to limit oxidation, which is just the general term of metabolizing, right, these charges that have this dynamic that stabilizes into mass, they just form shapes. Those are all your proteins, all of your base pairs, all of your molecular biology. And so inflammation is this overarching term for general dysfunction. And again, antioxidants, oxidation and inflammation is mitigated by, wait for it, antioxidants. Whether it's vitamin E or cannabinoids, it's the same metabolic process. And so that remains to be, again, just the single most debilitating cause of death and destruction everywhere. But again, science is at a point where here is the law, here is science, and people are just like, oh, well, I'm a big pathetic fuck, so who cares? And it's barnacle land stupid bullshit. But the Dow Jones did hit 50,000. Look, yep, still up there, Caroline Levitt and Pam Bondi. Oh, wait, that's right. You guys have never created value in your whole lives. And so that meta trial stuff, again, thoroughly against that. Commented what I could on this oil trade situation. But Meta comes out and says they're going to appeal. They should. This is something I would fight as an operator. And again, this is like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm going to put my foot down. This is like, again, bitching and complaining at a level where it's just like, I don't know. We got some police officers here in the burbs. I don't know if that's police or if that's ambulance. The AMBO. But regardless, that is what we have for trading. Market overall, again, just waiting on a Trump tweet in Iran and see what happens, I guess. But I've covered what I could, and those were the talking points for this afternoon. So this will be long enough just to be a trading vlog video. So that is what I have for today. It is 3:52 p.m., March 25th, about 7 minutes until the market closes, and we will check in next time.